Welcome back. All right, so to start out, a shout out, a thanks to Sean McIndoe from The Athletic for finding and putting out an article on this topic. And so I went to Hockey Reference and had fun. They have a multiple franchise tool. I'll include a link in the description to this video. So if you're like, how do I find it? There's going to be a link in the description. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. And for somebody who does as many career videos as I do, this is a nice way to figure out, hey, so what kind of career videos can I do? What kind of crossover videos? There's a lot. There's a lot here. So Hockey Reference has every hockey player that's ever played on it. Now, some of their trade information may not be 100% up to date with every single trade, but they're close. And when you're looking at as much information as they have on their site, it really honestly is a very useful tool for me. I'm on that site every day. So that being said, I started this off looking at Vancouver and Calgary because I've talked on this channel. I actually did a video on crossover between Vancouver and Calgary. So 77 players have played for both. So I decided let's do this like a chain. And it gets a little tricky in spots, but I did my best. And then I doubled back and had to do one team twice. So I did a second team twice. So Vancouver, Calgary 77 times. 54 players have played for both Alberta teams. Calgary and Edmonton, there have been 54 players that have crossed enemy lines. Doesn't mean they're traded for each other or anything either, right? Now, Edmonton and Pittsburgh might seem like an odd pick, but for me, dating back to the 80s, I was like, you know what? I want to look at Edmonton and Pittsburgh. I did not look at Edmonton and the Rangers. There's almost endless possibilities here, right? But 88 players have played for both Pittsburgh and Edmonton, which seems like a lot, but then you look at Pittsburgh and Philly, there's 86. So 86 players have crossed there, which is more than Vancouver, Calgary. But remember, Vancouver, Calgary haven't been in the league as long as Pittsburgh and Philly, who came in together in 67. So I decided to go from Philly to Chicago because those were the teams I confused with one another when I was a kid. No idea why. 73 players have played on both Philadelphia and Chicago. Chicago and Arizona, because these teams seem to be frequent trade partners, 94 players. And that includes the original Winnipeg Jets as well in that figure. So yes, there's been a lot of crossover between the Blackhawks and the Coyotes, formerly Jets as well, considering that is far more than Calgary and Edmonton, far more than Vancouver and Calgary. Arizona and Boston, 69 players have exchanged hands between Arizona and the Boston Bruins. Boston and Montreal, keeping in mind this is about 100 years of history for both teams, 119 players. And of course, they were original six. It is always weird when somebody who was a Boston Bruin shows up in a Montreal jersey and vice versa. Ask Chris Nyland. In Montreal and Toronto, 109 players have played for both teams. Then Toronto to Detroit, 153 players have played for both teams, which sounds about right. I think if you're a Red Wing, you have to play for the Leafs at some point, and vice versa. That number is going to go up by one this year because Bertuzzi, of course, has become a Toronto Maple Leaf, which would not be included in that number yet. 150 players have played for both Detroit and the New York Rangers. I'll have more fun with the original six later on in this. The Rangers and the Islanders, 76 players have played for both. The Islanders and the Kings. Why would I do Islanders and Kings? Because the Butch Goring trade started what became the trade deadline that we have today. 66 players have played for both. LA and Anaheim, 34 have played for both. Anaheim and San Jose, 35 have played for both. No one has played for all three California teams. Again, credit to Sean McIndoe for doing that research. San Jose and Vegas, three players have crossed that enemy line. Those teams really not liking each other very much at all for the first 4 years of Vegas's existence. The hates calmed down somewhat, but if San Jose becomes a good team again, my guess is it goes right back up. Vegas and St. Louis, why? Because Pietrangelo, 8 players. Barbashev as well. So 8 players, prominent, of course, being Pietrangelo and Barbashev. St. Louis and Colorado, 68 players have played for both. Their division rivals, of course, don't like each other very much. Colorado and Minnesota, 32 players have played for both the Colorado Avalanche and the Minnesota Wild. 22 players have played both for the Minnesota Wild as well as the Dallas Stars, who used to be the Minnesota North Stars. 68 players have played for Dallas/Minnesota North Stars. And New Jersey, which would include the Colorado Rockies and the Kansas City Scouts. So 68 players seems like a lot, But considering Vancouver and Calgary would have had less time, although Calgary would have included the Atlanta Flames as well, that is something worthy of note, since there were players on the Vancouver Canucks in the early 80s who played for the Atlanta Flames, not necessarily the Calgary Flames. 51 players have played for both New Jersey and Carolina. So these teams, of course, at the top of the Metro last season. 45 players have played both for Carolina and Tampa. And, of course, Carolina would include the Hartford Whalers as well. 53 players played both for Tampa Bay and the Ottawa Senators, who came into the league together. 36 players have played for Ottawa and Columbus. There have been some prominent Senators who've ended up in Columbus, so I figured that was worthy of throwing on there. Columbus and Florida, 33 players have played both for Columbus and Florida. 32 players have played both for Florida and the Nashville Predators. We'll come back to Florida, though, because I felt like, hey, I missed a team here that I need to get in here that sort of in that same region. And then Nashville and the Winnipeg Jets, 28 players have played for both. Of course, for the Winnipeg Jets, that includes the Atlanta Thrashers. The Jets/Thrashers, 30 players have played for that franchise, as well as the Buffalo Sabres. 41 players have played for the Sabres as well as the Capitals. The Capitals snake over to the Seattle Kraken. 4 for the Kraken have played for the Capitals. 3 players for the Kraken have played for Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay circles back to Florida. 51 players have played for both Florida-based teams. It really does feel like I could do this all day. I absolutely love this kind of thing. This is fantastic. This is one of the best things I've seen. So I thought I'm going to keep going down the rabbit hole. So Toronto, Boston, and Montreal. 3 teams that aren't necessarily good friends with one another, an all-original 6. 17 players have played for all 3. Had to have been some amount of torment for them going to at least one of those 3. Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton. So all 3 Western-based Canadian teams. 8 players have played for all 3 Western-based Canadian teams. Apologies to Winnipeg, but I consider them to be further west than Winnipeg. Winnipeg's more central in Canada. But there's no other central Canadian teams, so I feel kind of bad for Winnipeg. That's where Alberta might be like, well, we're kind of central. We'll leave it at that for now. So the Rangers, the Devils, and the Islanders, 12 players have decided to have a career where they've played for all 3 teams. And, of course, they're all really close to one another. Now, Anaheim, Florida, Ottawa, Tampa Bay, 3 players have played for all 4 of those teams who came in right after one another. Calgary, Winnipeg, and Arizona. Why those 3 teams? Because Calgary was in Atlanta, Winnipeg was in Atlanta, and Arizona was in Winnipeg. So three teams and 5 players have played for all 3 of those organizations. Buffalo, Vancouver, and Arizona. These 3 teams, the ones with the longest Stanley Cup drought, who have never won a Stanley Cup. 7 players have played for those 3 abundantly happy franchises with ridiculously happy fan bases. Colorado, Carolina, and Arizona. What do those 3 teams have in common? All 3 of them are WHA teams. All 3 of them moved as well. 3 players have played for all 3 of those organizations. Vegas and Colorado. 6 players have played for the 2 most recent Stanley Cup champions. So I thought that was a fun one. Pittsburgh and Toronto. These are teams that have had a lot of bleed over between them. And, of course, Kyle Dubas goes from Toronto to Pittsburgh. 95 players. And, of course, we know that number is going to go up this year because of former Maple Leafs going to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Calgary and Toronto have been frequent trade partners, it would seem, over the years as well. 95. Although I think most of those players are from the Doug Gilmour trade. That was a pretty big trade. Calgary, Pittsburgh, and Toronto. So, since we looked at Pittsburgh and Toronto, Calgary and Toronto, both of them with 95, but only 8 players have played for all 3. Again, I find this endlessly fascinating. Hopefully it's not just me. Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and the Rangers, the 4 original 6 teams based in the U.S., 9 players have played for all 4. Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa, 3 players have played for all 3 Eastern-based teams. And again, apologies to Winnipeg because it makes it seem like I don't consider you guys Canadian. But of course you're Canadian, you're from Winnipeg. So yeah, this I think I can have a lot of fun with. I think I can do some really fun career videos. And also looking at all of these crossovers between teams, players who've played for multiple teams. And you could come up with an all-star team. You could come up with an all-star team of players who played for both Boston and Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, and for any combination of the California teams. Unless you're trying for all 3, then it doesn't work. But yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun to play with. And so I thought I would pass it along to all you fine people on the internet, since I found it on The Athletic. And yeah, this is the kind of thing you can find on The Athletic. You can find information you don't necessarily see elsewhere. And I'm glad they pointed this out because I don't know that I would have found it otherwise. But like I said, it will be in the description to this video. And it's fun. It's fun to look at. And so this will give me video ideas, I would think, for years to come. And just looking back at, these players crossed over here, I do intend to, look at every single team and how many players and rate it and rank it and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm not sure what this has started, but I'm anxious to see where it's going to go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and it does answer that question I've had about certain teams like Vancouver and Calgary and whether or not they frequently have players trade hands and all of that. And that's something I can look at too, is out of all these players, how often are they traded between these teams? That kind of thing. And yeah, kind of a fun idea. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.